99% of people over 80 cannot do these 5 things. 5 things. And if your doctor hasn't tested you for even one of them, your health picture has a dangerous blind spot. Stay right here. What I'm about to show you changes everything. Here's what nobody tells you. The way most of us think about aging is completely backwards. We think aging is something that just happens, like weather rolling in. You feel the ache. You notice the slowdown. You chalk it up to the number on your birthday cake and move on. But that picture is wrong. And I mean clinically, measurably, peer review provably wrong. A group of researchers at the University of Copenhagen tracked over 4,000 adults between 70 and 85 for 12 full years. And what they found should be in every newspaper in this country. The people who maintained just 5 specific physical markers had bodies that were functioning 16 years younger than their actual age. 16 years. An 80-year-old body working like a 64-year-old body. Not in theory, in a lab, in a clinic, on paper. Now, here's where it gets important. I want you to hold this thought because we're coming back to it. These 5 markers have nothing to do with how much you weigh or what your cholesterol reads. This is something different. These aren't things most doctors test for in a standard appointment. A 15-minute visit can't cover what a 12-year study found. That gap between what the research knows and what reaches you is exactly why you're here. And it's exactly why I made this video. Before we go further, drop your age in the comments right now and tell me which state you're watching from. I read every comment on this channel. Every one. And I shape future videos based on who I'm actually talking to. So let me know you're here. I want to be honest with you about something. For years, I told patients that aging well was mostly about diet and medication management. I was giving people the system answer, not the science answer. The science answer is this. Your body is keeping score. Every single day, it's tracking 5 physical capacities that predict with startling accuracy how many good years you have left. Not just years alive. Years functional, years independent, years where you drive yourself, live in your own home, and get up off the floor when you choose to. After 60, your body enters what researchers call an anabolic resistance phase. Think of it like a thermostat that's slowly drifting. The controls are still there. You can still turn the heat up, but the mechanism has gotten stiff, and it takes more deliberate input to get the same response you used to get automatically. The 5 markers we're covering today are the 5 places where that thermostat drift shows up first. And the genuinely hopeful thing, and I mean this as a clinical statement, not a motivation speech, is that all 5 of these systems remain trainable. Every single one. The research is clear on this. Your body at 70, at 78, at 83 is still listening, still responding. I know some of you are already thinking, Dr. Wright, I've tried things before. I've started things. It didn't stick. I hear you. And that's exactly why we're going to talk about the how, not just the what. I want to tell you about a patient I'll call Carol. She was 74 when she first came to see me, retired nurse, which meant she knew enough to be scared and enough to feel embarrassed about being scared. She walked in with a folder. Blood pressure logs, cholesterol history, medication list. She had done everything right by the standard system, and she still felt like she was losing ground. We ran through all 5 of the markers I'm about to share with you. She was in the bottom third on 4 of them, not because she'd been lazy, because no one had ever measured them. No one had told her they mattered. 6 months later, Carol called my office. She told me she'd been on a weekend trip with her grandchildren. 3 flights of stairs at the hotel, and she went up and down those stairs 4 times in one day without thinking about it, without gripping the wall, without dreading it. She said, I forgot stairs could just be stairs. That's the goal, not superhuman, just normal again. The normal you thought you'd lost. If you've never subscribed to this channel, this is the moment I'd ask you to. I'm a general physician who spent 2 decades watching patients get handed medication lists and sent home without the information they actually needed to feel better. This channel exists to fix that gap. Every week, real science, plain English, no selling. If you want to be the person in the room who actually understands what's happening in their own body, subscribe. You belong in this community. All right, let's count them down. 5 through 1. Ranked from powerful to extraordinary. Marker number 5. I want you to try something when this video ends. Stand near something solid first, but try standing on one leg. No hands, eyes open. And then, once you've got that steady, try it with your eyes closed. If you can hold it for 10 seconds, you're in a group that most people your age are not in. A study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine tracked over 1,700 adults between 51 and 75. The researchers found that people who could not hold a 10-second single-leg stand had an 84% higher risk of death from any cause over the following 10 years. 84%. That's not a rounding error. That's a number that should change how you think about standing on one leg. Picture your nervous system as a GPS. It's constantly pinging. Where are my feet? Where is my weight? Is the ground even? How fast am I moving? After 60, those signals start to slow. The GPS starts dropping updates. The system responsible for that internal GPS is called your proprioceptive system. After 60, it deteriorates at roughly 1% per year. When that precision drops, falls happen. A fall at 75 is not a bruise. For adults over 80, a broken hip carries a 30% one-year mortality rate. That's the real cost of losing this marker. The good news is that this system is trainable at any age. Research from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden showed that 6 weeks of daily balance training in adults over 75 reduced fall risk by 47%. The brain retains the ability to build new neural pathways in this area well into your 80s and 90s. Here's how to start right now safely. Stand near a counter or solid chair. Lift one foot just slightly off the ground. Hold it. 10 seconds on each side. That's your starting point. Work toward doing this with your eyes closed once you're comfortable. Do it every morning before your muscles are fatigued. Marker 4 is the one that surprises people the most because it looks like nothing. It looks like just a handshake. One study, 140,000 people, 17 countries. The finding? Your grip strength predicts your heart attack risk better than your blood pressure reading does. That study, published in The Lancet, is one of the most significant cardiovascular findings of the last 2 decades, and almost nobody outside of research circles knows about it. Let me explain what grip strength is actually measuring. After 70, the human body begins losing muscle mass at 1 to 2% per year. Think of it like a key and a lock. The key, your nutrition, your movement, is the same. But the lock has gotten stiff. It doesn't turn as easily anymore. Grip strength tells us how stiff that lock has become. A study from the University of Michigan showed that resistance-based hand exercises performed 3 times per week for 10 minutes increased grip force by up to 31% in older adults over 16 weeks. And here's what most people get wrong about protein. It's not just how much you eat. It's when. Research from the University of Texas Medical Branch showed that consuming 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein within 30 minutes of finishing exercise triggers a 50% greater muscle-building response in adults over 65. The window is 30 minutes. Set a timer if you need to. At your next appointment, ask your doctor to measure your grip strength with a hand dynamometer. It takes 30 seconds. This is a reasonable request. You are not being difficult. You're being informed. Marker 3 is the one that has the loudest science behind it and the most misunderstood intervention. Imagine you're walking from the parking lot to the grocery store entrance. It's maybe 60 yards. Is that walk easy? Or does something shift in your chest by the time you reach the door? That shift is your cardiovascular efficiency telling you something. Researchers measure it as VO2 max, your body's maximum capacity to deliver and use oxygen during physical activity. Think of your cardiovascular system as a delivery service. VO2 max is the measure of how many deliveries, oxygen molecules to your muscles, that service can complete per minute. 5 times. Adults in the top quarter of cardiorespiratory fitness for their age group had a 5 times lower risk of death from any cause compared to those in the bottom quarter. Not 5% lower. 5 times. That data comes from a study published in JAMA Network Open. And here's what the research actually shows works. Walk briskly for 30 seconds. Slow to comfortable for 90 seconds. Repeat that cycle 8 to 10 times, 4 days per week. In sedentary older adults, this protocol increased VO2 max by up to 12% in 8 weeks. If you feel chest tightness, unusual shortness of breath, dizziness, or heart palpitations during any physical activity, stop and call your doctor before continuing any new exercise routine. Let me ask you something right now. Type 1 in the comments if your biggest challenge is energy. Type 2 if it's balance or stability. Type 3 if it's strength. I read every comment. And I want to know which one is loudest for you right now. What I'm about to tell you about marker 2 is the opposite of what most senior fitness advice says. And it's the one thing I wish every physician told their patients over 65. Most advice for older adults says, slow down, be careful, don't rush. And in many contexts, that's right. But there is one specific capacity that requires the opposite. And when we don't train it, we lose something that can't be easily replaced. It's called neuromuscular power. Your body's ability to generate force quickly, not slowly and steadily. Fast. A study published in the Scandinavian Journal of Medicine and Science and Sports found that the speed of force production was the single most significant predictor of whether an adult 60 to 82 would remain independent or require assisted living within 5 years. After 65, your body begins losing type 2 muscle fibers, your fast twitch fibers. These are the fibers that catch you when you trip, that get you up off a low surface, that react when a curb is higher than you expected. When those fibers weaken, it's not just your workout that suffers. It's the micro moments of daily life that suddenly feel precarious. Research from Tufts University placed adults between 87 and 96 on a progressive resistance training program, 10 weeks. The result? A 174% average increase in muscle strength at 87 to 96 years old. The protocol is sit to stand practice. Firm chair, not a couch, sit, stand, repeat. On the way up, consciously try to rise as quickly as comfort allows. Aim for no hands on the armrests. Start with 10 repetitions twice a day. I want to tell you about a patient I'll call Thomas. He was 79, former engineer. He'd had 2 near falls in the past year. Each one shook him. We started chair stand practice, 2 sessions a day, 10 reps each. After 8 weeks, Thomas told me something I remember every time I talk about this. He said, I reached for something on a high shelf last week, and I wasn't afraid of what would happen if I lost my balance. I just reached. That's the marker. That's what we're training for. The fearlessness of just reaching. And now, the number 1 marker, the one I promised you at the very beginning. Most people over 65 have been told, sleep is important, try to get 7 or 8 hours. That's the standard advice, and it misses the actual mechanism entirely. Sleep is not rest. At the cellular and neurological level, sleep, specifically deep sleep, is the most aggressive physical restoration process your body has access to. And for most adults over 65, it's broken. Not because they're doing something wrong, because no one told them what to protect. One night of disrupted sleep causes a measurable 5% increase in amyloid beta accumulation in the human brain. One night. These are the same proteins found in excess in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. During deep sleep, your brain activates what's called the glymphatic system. Think of it as your brain's overnight cleaning crew. It only runs during deep sleep. It flushes toxic waste products that build up throughout the day. When deep sleep is consistently disrupted, that cleaning crew can't finish the job. Night after night after night. After 70, the human body produces 60 to 70% less growth hormone during sleep than it did at 30. Growth hormone is your body's maintenance system, and it runs almost exclusively during deep sleep. 3 interventions, backed by research starting tonight. First, wake up at the same time every single morning. Yes, including weekends, regardless of when you went to bed. Research from the Stanford Sleep Medicine Center shows this single habit can increase the proportion of deep sleep you achieve by up to 30% within 4 weeks. One habit, 30% more deep sleep. Second, within 30 minutes of waking up, get outside, not through a window, outside. 10 minutes of natural light in your eyes triggers a cortisol pulse that sets your circadian clock and prepares your brain for deeper sleep 16 hours later. Third, keep your bedroom between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Your body needs to drop its core temperature to initiate and maintain deep sleep. A cooler room is one of the most underused interventions in senior sleep health. If you're waking more than once per night consistently, or if you feel unrefreshed in the morning even after what seems like enough hours, ask your doctor about a sleep study. Sleep apnea is dramatically underdiagnosed in adults over 65, and treating it can change the trajectory of your brain health. 5 markers: balance, grip, cardiovascular efficiency, power, sleep. Not 5 tests you might fail. 5 doors still open to you. I've watched patients at 81 decide that the chapter they were in wasn't the last one, and I've watched them be right. Type one word in the comments right now. Ready. That's it. Just ready. Then subscribe, because next week I'm covering the one morning habit that protects all 5 of these markers at once. It takes 4 minutes. You don't want to miss it. Medical disclaimer: the information in this video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your physician before beginning any new health regimen. Privacy disclaimer: patient stories shared in this video are composites, and all identifying details have been changed to protect privacy. No real patient information has been disclosed. AI disclosure: this content was developed with AI-assisted research tools and reviewed for clinical accuracy.